Conspiracy theories. Some turn out true, others turn out completely false. Some seem realistic, others leave you scratching your head like, what are people even thinking? The latest in the case of Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Conspiracy theories circulating online claim that Bibi died during Operation Epic Fury. Those have now been thoroughly debunked when Bibi held a press conference.
First of all, I just want to say I'm alive, and you're all witnesses. And now that I dispatched this piece of fake news, I want to give you an update on Operation Roaring Lion. Under President Trump's visionary leadership, America and Israel are acting together in Iran with great determination and unprecedented strength.
Foreign policy expert Sierra Claire with us today to talk about all of this. Sierra, I'm not sure how this one started, but once social media influencers questioned where Bibi has been, it took off like wildfire. Bibi then came out and he posted a video right here that we're looking at. People said it was AI and that he had 6 fingers, but if you look closely, it's part of his hand, which they were counting as a finger. So then Bibi goes and grabs a cup of coffee at a coffee shop, says, look, I'm alive and I have 5 fingers. Those conspiracy theorists then said, nope, it's still AI because his coffee cup was full and it didn't spill. Then the coffee company that he was at right here in this video came out and confirmed Benjamin Netanyahu actually was there that day. These social media influencers said, nope, he was killed in action. So it took Netanyahu holding a press conference to quiet the rumors. Sierra, social media influencers do so many great things. I mean, I firmly believe they were a big reason why President Trump won in 2024, but they also, on the flip side, can be a big problem when they start spreading these conspiracy theories. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely, Vanessa. Well, what we have seen during this Iran operation is Iranian propaganda being put out, and much through AI. You know, you saw those videos of the USS Lincoln being blown up. Those were all AI, and Iran is the one that put those out, circulated those on social media. And as you said, you know, social media influencers can be great, and of course we want people on the conservative side to be, you know, putting their voice out there because people have been silenced for so long. But with AI and with everything, you know, going on, especially the anti-Semitism that is going on in our country, it's at all-time highs. And so I think that there is just a lot of opportunity for people to put out misinformation. And I think during a war, especially, you know, you want to be making sure that you're getting your information from official sources. That's what I love about this Operation Epic Fury is the Department of War and President Trump has been so transparent with the American people. And so there's just so much out there that, you know, these are official videos coming out of the White House or coming out of the Israel Prime Minister's office. And those are great places to get information. And I think we live in a time too where official sources are not trusted as much as they once were. And I totally understand that because of being a COVID era, you know, growing up in the COVID era. But at the same time, this is President Trump's administration, and I think that he has earned some trust with the American people. So let's use those official sources.
Absolutely. Before you put anything out, make sure that it's confirmed. That's the old way of journalism. And so we know that disinformation is dangerous when you have a huge following. Some of these people have hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers. So we need to make sure what they are posting is actually factual. You know, and a lot of these people are good friends of mine, and I appreciate the hard work that they do, but it's all over. The current one that I just saw yesterday was in regards to some information dealing with, you know, some things going on in the administration with bills in the Senate. One of them was particularly on the long lines due to the partial DHS shutdown. And one social media influencer, Sierra, put out that Congress has passed the bill that all Congress members can no longer bypass the lines. They have to stand in line with the average American person. That is actually false. They have not passed that bill. Senator Cornyn out of Texas has introduced a bill that would stop congressmen and women from bypassing long lines at the TSA checkpoints. But this goes to show this disinformation is out there. One person posted it and it just took off like wildfire. And people are commenting saying, oh, this is great. Finally, they have to, be one of us. But the good thing, you mentioned AI. The good thing about this is that X, Instagram now, not really sure about Facebook, but some of these social media platforms are fact checking these posts now and saying this is false. So when you see these posts, there's Grok, there's other ways to find out if these claims that people are posting on social media are actually true before you share them.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are ways, and just be aware that the Iranian regime and many others of our enemies, I mean, the CCP's been doing this for years, but particularly right now, the Iranian regime is looking to do anything it can to change the tide of public opinion. They're not winning on the battlefield. They want to win in the digital space, in the public opinion space. So don't help them out with that in any way.
Absolutely. When it comes to the actual war, like you mentioned, President Trump has been very transparent about this war. They are giving out facts. The Department of War, Pete Hegseth, is giving a press conference weekly at the Pentagon. Heather Mullins, who works for Lindell TV, is there giving us updates every week. So they give us numbers, they give us facts. They have really been transparent with the American people when it comes to what's happening with the war. When it comes to Netanyahu, with his statement yesterday where he said, look, I'm here in front of the media, foreign press as well, I'm alive, and we are continuing on with Operation Epic Fury. He says Iran now has no ability to produce ballistic missiles. Thousands of murderers have been killed in Iran. 6 American allies have now pledged, Sierra, which is huge, to secure the Strait of Hormuz. That includes UK, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Japan. Now, as you know, President Trump hosted the Prime Minister of Japan just yesterday, saying this about Japan's partnership.
We're going to be speaking about it today. We've had tremendous support and relationship with Japan on everything. And I believe that based on statements that were given to us yesterday, the day before yesterday, having to do with Japan, they are really stepping up to the plate. Yes.
How important is it right now? Gas prices are going up due to the Strait of Hormuz and everything going on in the Middle East. How important is it for these 6 American allies to join in and say, hey, we'll help out with the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, it's interesting you bring this up, Vanessa, because I've been talking about this all week long on various different platforms, and people were so convinced. And I said this, on Tuesday. I said they might not be responding yet, but they're going to come around. The Europeans are always behind the ball. They took them up until a month ago to designate the IRGC as a terrorist group, even. So you just wait, but they're going to come around. And it is very important to have these allies. Everybody said this wasn't going to happen. Everybody said Trump was alone. Nobody wanted any part of this. No, this strait is very important, not for America. And that's the interesting part of this whole thing. We're good on oil, and President Trump has made sure of that. And we're still seeing price hikes at the gas pump. We're still seeing volatility in the oil markets, unfortunately. But, in terms of our actual supply and everything, we're good. But the reason that it's important for these allies to get involved is, number one, it's their gas, it's their energy needs, and they need to show some strength. They need to take control of their own energy needs, just like the way America has. And look at how much flexibility it's given us, and look at how much influence it's given us to be able to do what we need to do on the world stage. And we need our allies to be the same way. We're protecting our Gulf partners in the region, and our Gulf partners has been great. There's, no criticism to them from what I'm saying, but they are very small states. They do not have the type of military industrial complex and capabilities that these larger European NATO members, which we support NATO through lots of funding, have. And so the NATO members and Japan, places like Japan as well, are the ones that need to step up in this scenario and use the capabilities that they have. And a lot of people said, oh, Europeans don't even have the capability. It's true, they're very hollowed out, they're not where they should be, but they do have some capability. And so that's why it's very important for them to show this strength, show that they're taking control of their energy needs, and show that to the world. It's not just about proving it to President Trump or, what different people have said. This is a kind of a spat. It's really important for them to show this strength to the world.
You're right. And both President Trump and his administration and Israel have both said that this war will not last long. And also, they don't currently really know who's running Iran right now, because all of the leaders and the next in line, they have confirmed have been killed. So they don't even know who's running the country right now. But President Trump has said until they're confirming everything, until they accomplish their goals 100%, they will not retreat and come back. So we'll continue to watch this, and hopefully they're correct. This war will end sooner than later. A lot of people asking, first it was Venezuela and now Iran. A lot of people are asking, Sierra, about the future of Cuba, a communist regime there. People of America are parading in the streets in some cities calling for a regime change there. What are your thoughts about the future of Cuba?
Absolutely. Well, one note on what you said about Operation Epic Fury, and we think it's going to end soon. President Trump actually came out and said this week that they're already seeing defections from the IRGC, and this is a really important step. I think this is a sign. If you don't believe what President Trump or Pete Hegseth or any other administration officials are saying, believe this. This is a sign that this is wrapping up here. And when they get down into those lower ranks and people start defecting, that's when you're going to see somebody emerge who's going to want to work with President Trump and negotiate. And we haven't quite got there yet, but we are very close. On Cuba, this regime already wants to negotiate with President Trump, and he's said that they have reached out for talks. And the Cuban regime, as we've talked about, is very isolated. They were getting some resources from Mexico to try to replace what was lost from Venezuela. That wasn't going to be much anyway in the first place, because they were completely dependent on Venezuela. But now we're seeing that Mexico's not providing them with anything either. And so they're in a very bad state. And as I've said before, the Biden approach, or the Democrat approach, even going back to Obama, was to cite a humanitarian issue and say, well, when they're isolated like this and when they're weak like this, they just go in and reverse all of that progress and say, oh, it's a humanitarian issue. The money does not go to the people. I know I've said this before on your show, but I think it's important for people to know. The money does not go to the Cuban people, the average Cuban citizen. And so we want to isolate this regime, and it's going to be better for the Cuban people when the regime is either working with the U.S. or completely gone.
President Trump was asked about Cuba just recently in the Oval Office. Here's what he said.
I think Cuba, is in its own way, for tourism and everything else, it's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change. They won't be asking us for money for hurricanes every week. But I think Cuba's seen the end. All my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time. Very violent leaders.
So to me, Sierra, there's some hint there that plans are in place to start looking at Cuba next.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think President Trump, again, has been very transparent about this, which is great. But yeah, as he said, freeing it or taking it, whatever needs to happen. I think since we're seeing the regime reach out, that we could see kind of a Venezuela model. People keep trying to compare Iran and Venezuela, and President Trump has said so many times, Iran is not Venezuela. Like, we know that. And Cuba could be more along the lines of a Venezuela model, where they find somebody, a deputy second in command, or somebody who's willing to work with them on a transition plan or something like that. Or maybe not. I mean, as he said, it's a very small island, and without their powerful friends, it would be very easy for us to do whatever we needed to do there.
Yeah, and we'll keep an eye out on Cuba next. I want to invite everyone to listen to your new podcast and also subscribe to your Substack. Tell us how people can follow you.
Yeah, so it's sierranock.substack.com. My podcast is the 11 o'clock hour on YouTube, and on X as well. You can find links to my podcast there. And this coming week, I am going to have live coverage from CPAC. So very excited to be seeing you there for that. And I have had a lot of great experts, guests on, talking about all of these current geopolitical issues, doing some deep dives on some of this stuff that can really help people understand the background and how we got to where we are today.
Sounds great. Everyone go check out Sierra on her platforms. And I am looking forward to seeing you in Texas next week at CPAC.
Absolutely, Vanessa. It's going to be a great time.